This is the Lakin Chronicles Road to Recovery podcast with addiction recovery specialist Dr. Greg Lakin. Real people, real stories, real addiction, and real recovery journeys. The road to recovery starts now.
All right. No, we have another episode, and it is Melissa. And thank you for coming. I actually appreciate the fact that you actually viewed some of the Lakin Chronicles and you just volunteered, because you certainly have a story to tell and you have a lot of lessons that you've learned in the process. But I appreciate you just wanting to give back and getting your story out there with the whole focus of trying to help others, get help as well. But yeah, so Melissa, just tell me a little bit about when opioid addiction first started for you and how it progressed, or what you think the steps were.
Marijuana was the very first thing. Very, very first thing. My friend came up to me and said, "Smoke this now." And he literally would not let me leave until I tried it.
Yeah.
So I tried it and I liked the way that I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And I continued to smoke for a while.
Yeah.
And then I stopped for a while. And then I had surgery done because I had endometriosis.
Right.
And they prescribed Vicodin.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the way that made me feel.
How long ago was this about?
I think I was 23, so, oh wow, it's been a long time, 20 something years.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
So after surgery, all of a sudden you tried different things, like you said, Vicodin, and you liked that as well.
I liked it a lot, yeah. And,
did you notice you got a kind of a tolerance? You had to take more of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I started going to different doctors because I couldn't get it from mine anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started, self-injuring so I can go to the ER.
Right.
And get some.
So now you're doing all those things that you swore that you would never do.
Yeah.
Like multiple doctors, multiple stories. When you say you self-injured yourself, you would do things like?
Take a hammer and break bones. I literally broke my hand in 3 different places one time.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really desperate because my withdrawals, they last for months.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely a nightmare to go through withdrawals.
So at that point, when you were doing those kind of things, how much would you need to take in a day? Your tolerance, like we talked about, it goes up, but how many pills were you having to take a day just to feel normal?
About 10.
Mm-hmm.
10, Norco, 10s,
right.
And then I was taking tramadol,
mm-hmm.
which I took about 8 of those a day.
Yeah.
I ended up having a seizure.
Right. Yeah, you could have a seizure from being on too much tramadol or suddenly quitting tramadol. They said it was the non-addictive pain pill replacement when it first came out.
That's pretty much when I got on it.
Mm-hmm.
When I was going, back and forth to doctors, they put me on tramadol. Yeah. And I took 2 of them and I felt fantastic.
Right.
And it was even better than the Norco for me. And it was really easy to get because nobody suspected that I was addicted to it.
Sure. In the early days, we would prescribe it instead of pain pills, thinking that was the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And without getting somebody addicted, we could just put them on tramadol. But it wasn't quite what it initially was claimed to be. So, yeah, you would injure yourself. You would go to ERs. What are some of the other things you would do?
Buy them off the street from friends. Yeah. And then I started buying them from a dealer.
And what kind of money were you going through then?
$200 to $300 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We got ourselves in a lot of financial trouble. We couldn't pay our rent.
Yeah. You and your husband?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then children came into play at one point then, yeah. Mm. So you were still trying to juggle and make it all work as a housewife, as a mom?
I was working. I was a functional addict.
Mm-hmm. What kind of work?
I was dispatcher for a railroad.
Right. Okay.
Actually, a cab company that drove the guys around for the road from the beginning. So.
Right. Now you've been doing great for the last 5 years. So somewhere in there, you decided it was time to get treatment. And with you, it wasn't just once, but yeah. So tell me a little bit about your history of treatment.
The first time I went inpatient, I'm from Chicago, so
Oh, okay.
I did all that in Chicago. I went inpatient in Chicago 3 times, and then I went outpatient twice there, and then I went outpatient once here to ComCare.
Got it.
And I couldn't do it. The withdrawals were just too much. And to listen to people talk about, drugs, taking drugs and what it did to them, it made me crave it more.
Right.
I couldn't handle it.
Right. Now, have you noticed that people fear withdrawals, especially when they're in that addictive, reactive world? Their brain really believes that withdrawals are totally life or death.
Yeah.
Fear, it's such an all-encompassing fear
Yeah.
that, and just the anxiety of possibly going into withdrawals. So.
Yeah, the anxiety that was, I was all day long. I'd be like, well, I have a couple more, and then I have to go get some. I would plan my whole day around it, and plan my whole week around it. Counting it out, trying to see how long I could make it last.
Right.
And then my husband got into them, and he's much better now. He takes kratom.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So now you're both, or were both taking opioids, pain pills, and so that had to increase the financial burden, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But it's never cheap. And then tell me about, so you were functioning like this for years.
Yeah.
In and out of treatment, 5 times in Chicago. And then you guys decided to move here to Kansas. And what was it that was your impetus for getting treatment here?
Him and I got to a big fight. I wanted him to go to the ER to go get more pills.
Right.
And he wouldn't do it. And we got in a big fight. And I just started beating on him. And that's not who I am. I don't do that.
Right.
And he told me that he hated my guts, and either he was going to leave or I had to leave if I didn't get help, immediately. So I went into the bedroom and locked the door and Googled, help me, I'm an addict, help me. And first place that popped up was Center for Change.
Well, good. All right. No, so you came here, it's been how long ago?
5 years.
5 years.
5.5 years.
Right. And so you started with methadone at that time, and then you got up to what level? Or what dose of methadone?
Oh, 100 milligrams.
100 milligrams. Yeah. And then what are you at right now?
100.
You just stayed the course right there the entire time, pretty much. Huh?
Well, no, I've really just very, very slowly have gone up.
Okay. So you needed, because of your tolerance, you needed to get to 100 before you felt stable?
Yep.
Is that fair to say? With no withdrawals, no cravings?
Nope. Mm-hmm.
And then what have you noticed with your brain since you've stabilized your mood and I don't know, I mean, if you've noticed something different with anxiety or depression or just the certainty of knowing that you don't have to be on the hunt all day? I mean, have you noticed changes?
Yeah. Everything just feels better. It's so much calmer. I don't have any anxiety anymore. I thought that, after I got stable, I thought I might have some bipolar issues because my moods were up and down, but it's not like that anymore.
Right.
That was right after I
tried to, right when you found the dose where it takes a while for your brain to get off of that roller coaster ride. Was that fair to say? Right. So anxiety's calmed down, and it's kind of weird because as we study what part of the brain is activated during opioid addiction, we find out that it's actually more the primitive limbic fight or flight, but it's also kind of like PTSD where you have these triggers and like pills or the fear of withdrawals or whatever. It's almost more like a PTSD than generalized anxiety disorder, but stabilizing your mood with medication assisted treatment like methadone or Suboxone, buprenorphine, or, if there is a bipolar or anxiety component as well, then once we stabilize that, like you said, the anxiety starts to go away, fears start to become more rational. Um, what's it like on the other side? What's it like just not having to be on the hunt or not having to worry about cravings or withdrawals?
Life is just so much better. So much better. We can pay our bills now because we're not worrying. We're not spending our money on the street looking for it.
Yeah.
And another thing that I was really concerned with was getting those fake pills.
Oh yeah, fentanyl, lace stuff. Yeah.
It terrified me.
Mm-hmm.
That was another big reason for me to get out.
I've been to a couple of funerals, right? Yeah. Now you don't have any idea what you're getting out there, and they have fentanyl laced in marijuana or black tar or all these N30 fake counterfeit pills. So you think you know what you're taking. You think it's a prescription pill. I know what I'm taking, and no. And you get a lethal dose sometimes. So that was very smart. Now you have a couple of kids, a couple of children.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are they doing?
They're good. They are terrified of pills. They won't take them. They won't touch them.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest won't. My middle child, he has to take medication, and it's an amphetamine. He has ADHD.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So he takes that, but he doesn't abuse it, and we don't let him abuse it, and nobody touches it at home. It's all his.
Right. Now I remember one time you shared with me, and maybe you don't want to share it again, but there was a time where you had delivered a stillborn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you were on opioids at that time too.
Yeah. My doctor wanted me to go cold turkey, and I did. I didn't know.
Before delivery.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he, within just a couple of weeks after I went cold turkey, he passed away. And I know it was because I went cold turkey. And I'm a huge advocate for pregnant women getting on methadone and not doing anything, not going down on it, Because I've helped a couple of people online. I belong to a bunch of groups.
Right.
And I've talked to the women that have been pregnant and told them, please, please don't go down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your baby could die, and I don't ever want anybody to have to go through that.
Right. No, there's different schools of thought on titrating down on methadone when you're pregnant, but certainly usually don't do it toward the end of your pregnancy or toward the end of third trimester, because just about anything throws people into withdrawals or contractions or the infant's feeling everything you're feeling. So second trimester, stable time, you can go down slow, but your goal shouldn't be just to get off right away. So if you're not feeling it, your infant's not feeling it probably, but And then the first trimester is kind of an unstable time of pregnancy anyway. But that second trimester is a good time to try to go down if you can, but by all means, it should be slow and steady and just not necessarily with a design to completely get off to the point that you're sick. And it sounds like you were pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really bad. I couldn't get up and do anything.
Right.
And then after that, I started feeling better, but by then, just a couple of days later.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough time. They don't hear a heartbeat anymore, and they don't see any activity, and that had to be another tough time for you emotionally.
Oh, it was awful, and I got right back on the drugs, and I was even heavier than I was before because I couldn't deal with it. I wanted to stop crying all the time because I was crying like all day. And then like 3 months after that, my dad died, and I went even heavier. And it was a terrible time.
Yeah. But you did it, and so you need to be. You've been clean for 5 years, so you should be very proud of yourself. Do you have concerns about relapse now, or?
I'm a lifer. I'm not getting off methadone, I don't think.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that.
Right.
I'm totally fine with that.
Well, I think many, if not most people, can get off if we've controlled the mood disorder and they're in a stable, good place. But there are people that don't want to take the chance, or there's so much fear associated with going down or getting off that they don't want to chance that, and their fears are legit. Like you said, you've relapsed too many times or had your fair share of failed attempts. So I certainly understand. Is there some message you want to give to people that are out there wondering if treatment's for them or if they can do it? You're a good example of like maybe 6 times the charm, but you did it. You did it, and you stuck with it long enough that you actually gave it a chance. So you should be very proud of yourself. Yeah.
What I did notice though is after I got on the methadone, years later, like even like right now, I'm starting to all those everything that happened to me, like my dad and everything that happened to me, it's all starting to come back in nightmares.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, a lot of nightmares about him, like him dropping dead in front of me.
Right.
It's pretty scary stuff, but I think it's just my subconscious trying to work through it.
Right. Stuff you've never dealt with.
Dealt with, yeah.
Maybe because you were too numb at the time, or
exactly.
And then it sounds like you've set yourself up for success as well because you're going to a lot of meetings. Like, what does that look like? I mean, how many meetings do you go to a month, and what type of meetings are they?
Oh, I go to like online things.
Okay.
Online stuff.
Yeah, that's what we're doing mostly now anyway.
Yeah. I have a couple of favorite groups, and I would totally suggest that anybody like on methadone would join those groups.
Do you remember the names of them at all?
Yeah. Methadone Treatment Alliance is one of my favorites.
Okay.
And there's another one, I can't remember the name of it. But there are a ton of groups on Facebook. Tons of groups. And everybody, Methadone Treatment Alliance, everybody's on methadone.
Right.
And in the other groups, it's a mix of methadone and Suboxone. And I've never been on Suboxone, so I can't.
Right. And when you first got treatment, there wasn't even Suboxone available, I'm assuming.
Really?
So, I mean, it wasn't around. It's been around for maybe the last 10 years or so. But
okay.
And then for people with higher tolerances, it doesn't necessarily hold them. It's not as strong, but it's certainly got a good place for people with mild to moderate tolerances. And yeah, so very good. Well, I really appreciate you coming and sharing your story because people can find lessons in everybody else's stories, lessons learned, and yours are certainly one of perseverance and then what it's like to be on the other side. And sounds like your kids are doing well. Good. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Dr. Lakin is a board-certified family medicine doctor with an emphasis in addiction medicine and over 25 years of experience. For addiction recovery services in the Wichita area, please visit www.centerforchangeks.com or visit samhsa.gov for a national directory of resources and recovery centers in your area. You can also find these links in the podcast description. Thank you for listening to the Lakin Chronicles Road to Recovery podcast. And remember, you've got this.